everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk. Back today with another video, and in today's video they just keep spoon feeding us good stuff every night. It makes it such easy and so exciting to talk about videos, but we have another, not really spoiler, but more explanation about Chi to talk about today. And I'm also going to do a recap on just some of the key notes that I've been noticing as we've rolled out all these spoilers, maybe something you want to catch up on. So hopefully this will help you kind of get a good gist of like all the key points that have came out so far. And we'll talk about a judge ruling that was talked about in terms of where Chi goes after it's flipped and stuff like that. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Discord down below. We have an extremely active Discord right now. It's doing really well going into the new set. It's a good place to be, positive place to be. I'm really excited about it. And then also, if you want to support the channel in a different way, maybe check out the channel membership. There's different rewards and benefits for each tier level. And it's a good way to support the channel in the upcoming month. So we'll get right into it. So one thing I wanted to show, we'll pull up this image here. The first thing is what was shown last night. So last night they put out a new card, Preserved Tradition, and I can even I'll put it in front of me here for a second so you can get a better look at it. But Preserved Tradition, we're doing this live because we're professional YouTubers. Preserved Tradition is a Mystic instant at common. It is a legendary, so you only can, even though it's only a common, it's legendary in the text, so you only can run one of these in a constructed deck, not in a limited deck. And I'll talk about that here in a second. Put target action card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. If you've played another blue card this turn, transcend. So this is a 0-cost blue, doesn't block, it's instant, and what it does is basically you play a blue card out, then you play this, and you can go and get a card. It's like a mini remembrance. Go get a card back from your graveyard, put it back into your deck. But what you can also do is flip this afterwards if you've played a blue card, and it becomes Inner Chi. And as we can see, it says that blue resources can pay for blue Chi resources or regular resources. So a couple things was confirmed here. One, Inner Chi is going to basically be pitched back into the deck. This was also confirmed by a judge ruling. I'll show that here in a second. So once you flip this into Chi, it goes back to your hand, and then you're able to use it for regular resources or for Chi resources, which makes a whole lot more sense now. And it's something we probably could have connected the dots on a while back, is because there was a couple, like for instance, the legendary instance costs 3 to play. And one of the interesting things about it was I was like, okay, so you have to play a blue card before the legendary instant. Then you have to pitch 3 to play the legendary instant just to get those abilities. Like that's 3 blue cards in a turn, right? Like that's a lot. But if you're, but if not constantly, but if you have times where you are able to, like, in a sense, you could play this card for 0 resources, or you play a blue card, play this card for 0 resources, transcend it, bring it basically back to your hand, then pitch it for the legendary instant, right? Like, yes, it's a little bit weird, a little bit redundant. I'm just saying, like, you're gonna have access to more blues in your hand, because technically in some cases a blue is gonna come back to you. So that's really interesting. But this card itself is pretty cool. It's basically a mini remembrance that also generates you, it replaces itself in terms of resources. So like the card doesn't technically go away in terms of how you can use it to pitch, and it brings the card back into your deck, which is really, really nice. So that was what was revealed last night. So a lot of people, when they saw this, they're like, okay, so now Chi can be pitched for regular resources and for Chi resources, which is really cool. But where does Chi go? Can it go back into your deck? When it goes back into your deck, does it go back into your deck flipped, or does it go back into your deck like how it was, and then you can do it again afterwards? Because currently, I'm not going to link the rules here. I was talking about it with some buddies last night in the Discord. As I roll up here, maybe I can find it as I'm talking to you all. But basically, the way the rules currently work right now, here it is. So I'm not going to pull it up just because I didn't prepare it, but the rule is if an object enters a zone in the arena and is not on the stack zone, or a public object becomes a private object, it resets, right? So the key term in there is when a public object becomes a private object, it resets. So what that would mean is its previous existence ceases to exist, and it becomes a new object with no relation to its previous existence. So what that means in this context is if you flipped a card per the current rules, when it goes back into your deck, it now is becoming a private object, and so it would flip back. So if more specifically, it says if a flip card is inside the game, its front face is active until a rule or effect would make its back face active, such as Transcendence. If the card would then become a new card, its front face is active again. What makes a card become a new card? Going into a private zone. So going back into your deck is a private zone. So per the way the rules are written right now, at least in my estimation, is it would have to reflip going back into your deck. So they're either going to do a rules reprise or they're just doing like a change for these specific cards. But regardless, that's what the head judge, Moonlight Solace, said in the Discord, is cards that transcend will stay flipped after they are put into the owner's hand and will remain that way for the rest of the game. So even if you get rid of them, and even if you or you not get rid of them, even if you pitch them, then you're going to be able to, they're going to stay as chi in your deck, which creates a whole new level of deck building, which we'll talk about here in a second. But that's really interesting. And then I kind of wanted to recap a few things that are kind of bounced in my head just for you to remember, and for you to think about as these new cards are being shown. One is hero abilities are done through chi. And now that we know what chi is done, how it's done, that means your hero will only be able to use its ability as much as you can make chi. But if you make too much chi, you might dilute your deck, right? You can't just win on your hero ability, right? Excuse me. You have a hero like Zen, for example. In my opinion, Zen, at least from on face, it might change, is he's going to want to use that chi that he's transcending very quickly while he has threats in deck. His second cycle is going to be kind of crappy, right? If he plays a lot of cards out and then all he has is like 10 chi left in his deck with like 3 or 4 cards, activating his hero ability doesn't really do anything. You just create a Crouching Tiger, but if you have no good combo cards to go get, nothing to combo into, doesn't really matter, right? So he's going to really want to probably, in my estimation, focus on playing out those Transcendence cards, gain the immediate value from chi, and really comboing off, no pun intended, in order to get value. Then you have a hero like Nu and also Enigma, in my opinion, who are going to play more for late game. They might not even use their chi ability first cycle, right? Or maybe once, right? They're going to try to whittle you down, especially Nu. She's going to play stealth attacks, probably play some contracts, in my estimation. We'll see. And she's going to want you to banish cards by blocking her because you don't want to die, right? And then second cycle, when she's transcended and made a bunch of chi, she's then going to use your own cards against you. Now, yes, using your own cards against you is very dependent on what deck you are and how many blues you're running, but there are a good amount of decks that run a lot of blues, so it's going to be really helpful. Also, in terms of a limited experience, I think Nu's going to be insane because she's like, this is a blue oriented set, right? So she's going to be able to really take advantage of constantly playing against Zen and Enigma in terms of that. So that's a really interesting thing to think about, is like, yes, your hero abilities are activated through chi, but when do you activate that? Do you play for second cycle? Do you not play for second cycle, right? It's so funny, these chi cards. I don't know if anybody that's watching has ever played Legends Runeterra, but in the card game, like the Riot Games card game that's online client, there's a deck with Teemo in it, and Teemo is a little shit in terms of a freaking champion. What Teemo does is he puts these puff balls in your deck, and what it does is, so like, he puts 3 puff balls in your deck, you can draw into a puff ball, which literally is an ephemeral deal 1 damage to you card that you have to play out, or else it hurts you, but it doesn't do anything else. It literally does nothing else. So he's creating bricks in your deck that's going to hurt you. Now, chi isn't that drastic, but if you make too much chi and you don't use it, and then you have no good turn to use it on, like nothing to really help yourself, even Enigma, who probably has the best way to use chi without expending a card, you could create a really clunky hands, right? Like especially with like Zen, if Zen draws into 2 chi cards but doesn't have a good combo, and he has like a non-go again, like he has a really bad hand. He has a hand that doesn't block and also doesn't create a lot of offensive power. So you're gonna have to really think about that as you're going through these things. Another thing is deck building. I think this set is going to be a deck builder's dream. I think deck building will have a whole new element in terms of how many Transcendence cards do you run? When do you use them, right? If you wait too long, then you won't have a hero ability the whole game, right? If you don't transcend and you don't use that chi in your first cycle, you're essentially playing a textless hero for the whole first cycle. And in my opinion, until we see the new set, like, it seems like to me that these heroes aren't strong enough on face to just not use their hero ability the whole first cycle. Now, if we get a bunch of cards like the chakra cards that are extremely overrate when you transcend, like transcending isn't using the chi, it's just making the chi, right? So like, for example, the assassin chakra that gives you is basically a 1-for-5 attack reaction, right? Maybe your whole first cycle is you're trying to use the overrate cards that care about if you transcended, and then your second cycle is you're using your hero ability. Who knows, right? But I think that this set's going to be kind of a deck builder's dream in terms of, you know, how many transcendence cards do you run? How much chi do you want to have in your deck second cycle? You know, are you going to try to do this game plan where it's like chi card, power card, right? And you're just trying to really activate the hero ability and combine it with a power card to do really cool stuff. Or will you run out of steam second cycle because you draw into really clunky all chi hands that also don't block when you and your opponent are both low in life? And, you know, yes, you may have 2 chi cards and a power card, but you also can't block anything. So, you know, is that worth it, right? And you're going to have a kind of like this Kano player like mentality, maybe not so much with Zen because he's going to shuffle his deck, but you're going to have this Kano like mentality where you got to stack, right? You got to pitch stack a little bit more. I think this set actually might teach more players, including myself, to pitch stack better. So I'm really excited about that. The next one is, this is a blue cards matter set, right? I'm going to be really interested to see how many reds these decks actually run. So far, every card we've seen has cared about playing a blue card or is a blue card. Literally pretty much every card with the exception of like 2 or 3, right? And even the red cards care if you've played a blue card. I could easily see all 3 of these heroes running a max of 15 reds. It might be less. That's just a shot in the dark. Like Zen, I could see him running 15 at the most, like 15 to 21 reds, and I could see New and Enigma running like less than 15. That's just my opinion. What's also cool about these blue cards is like, if you're constantly making chi, certain heroes are okay with that more than others. Like Enigma has a really cool thing where technically, if you can't kill Enigma, she will never deck out because her ability is pay 3 chi, create a spectral shield token with a +1 counter. And since now chi just goes back into the deck when it's pitched and it's not ephemeral, it doesn't go away, it doesn't get expended like we thought it might at the start. If she has a high enough life total, every turn, if like, let's say, just gonna crazy scenario, she has 4 cards left in deck and they're all chi cards, and let's say you don't have attacks and you're a hero that doesn't have a weapon like a ranger, she can just keep pitching chi and keep making a spectral token and then swing her spectrals. Keep doing that over and over and over. And if you can't kill her because you don't have a weapon or you ran out of threats, like, she's almost unfatigable. Now that's, you know, perfect situation I'm showing you there, but it's very interesting to see kind of where this goes in terms of blue cards matter and with Enigma and stuff like that. It's really, really interesting. The next one's a legendary keyword. So there is a rules change. Be on the lookout for this. In Constructed, you only can have one of each of these cards. You only can have one Preserved Tradition in your deck. You only can have one Sacred Art of Undercut Desires in your deck. But in Limited, you're allowed to have multiple of them. So if you on Sealed, if you pull 2 Preserved Traditions or you draft 2 Preserved Traditions, you can run them both. In Limited. Just in Constructed, it's the only one of. That's nothing too crazy, but I think it's something that's worth noting in case people don't see it. That's why on Preserved Tradition, it says Legendary, you may only have one Preserved Tradition in a Constructed deck, because in Limited, you're allowed to have multiple. That's just a key thing to think about. Also, this is an opinion, but in my opinion, I think this might be the most synergistic set that Flesh and Blood's ever had. And I mean that in terms of, I don't think we're going to use a ton of cards outside of this set. I think you're going to use some cards, like Zen's going to probably have a couple combo cards, ninja combo cards to supplement what he's trying to do. New might run some of the key assassin stuff like Leave No Witnesses, Surgical Extraction, maybe Eradicate, maybe a couple of the stealth reactions, maybe. But I do think that this set, you're really going to have to play into the Mystic feel and the blue card feel and really have to use the cards as synergistically as possible. I could be completely wrong. We have not seen the cards yet, but it just seems like even the cards they're showing, like it cares so much about, you know, what's going on inside of this set. So I'm going to be really interested to see how many cards we actually use outside the set in these constructed decks. It's going to be really interesting and really fun. And then the last thing is Chi Explanation. Again, when you play a card with Transcendence, you're going to transcend it. It's going to flip into Chi. It's then going to go back to your hand and it is able to be pitched back into the deck. From what we're seeing, energy is going to be able to be paid as you see on the normal energy, not the Marvel version. Is that Transcend? It'll be able to be paid for chi cost or for resources cost. So it's not like when you flip in a chi, it no longer can be pitched as a blue. No, it can be pitched as both, which a lot of people were partially right on. I think I saw some people saying before this was revealed that they think chi is going to be like Snowlands, which for Magic the Gathering, which if you're not aware, Snowlands basically could be pitched for regular land cost, right, that they aligned with, but they couldn't be, but they also could pitch for snow, but only Snowlands could pay for snow cards, right? So energy works the same way, where it can be pitched for regular resources, but only chi can be pitched for chi resources, right? So some people were very correct on that, which is really, really cool to see. But yeah, that's the recap. Let me know if you want me to go over anything else. I wanted to try to, give you some things to think about in terms of some of the key interactions in this set so far. As they give us more stuff, we'll keep talking about it. I'm going to do a market watch tomorrow on cards I think you should be looking out for, knowing a little bit more what I know now with some of the blue cards matter stuff for each class, specifically probably Assassin and Ninja, but I might phone a friend for the Illusionist stuff, see what they think people should be focusing on, give you a little bit of insight on that. But if there's any Misfail related topics you want me to discuss, let me know. I'd love to hear it from y'all. Obviously, as if they keep giving us more stuff, we'll keep talking about it. But if y'all have any specific ideas you would like me to cover, please let me know. I will be more than happy to do so. And yeah, thank y'all so much for tuning in. If you like this type of content, feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you've watched a couple of my videos and you haven't subscribed yet, maybe it's a good time to do so. I am terrible for that. I will watch someone's videos like 3 times off suggested before it clicks in my brain to sub. So if you haven't done that yet, definitely, if you feel like it's worth it, do that. But if not, it's totally fine. Go to my homepage on my YouTube right now. I have a creator video. It's somewhere in one of my playlists that shows all the creators in Flesh and Blood that I currently had as of like last month that I could find. And there's a whole like one-stop shop Google sheet where you can see all the creators, and definitely go sub to one of them. Make their day as we're going into this new set. Thank y'all so much. Hopefully y'all have a good rest of your day, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk.